All right. Well, welcome to this episode of the Immanuel Baptist Podcast. I am actually flying solo at the moment. We're going to do a little bit of a different podcast this week. So since this past Sunday was Christmas Eve, and now we're kind of moving into the new year, we decided not to talk about Christmas again. We're past the Christmas season, so we decided to do something a little different. So this week for the podcast, we've actually decided to do a 2023 year recap. So we're actually going to be interviewing all of our ministerial staff team, just kind of answering some questions over the last year of things that have happened, great things, fun things, and then what we're looking forward to move into 2024. So I know a lot of you know our staff team. We've got a great staff that God really has put together for such a time that we're in. And so we've seen a lot of really, really great things over the last year. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump in and answer these questions. Hope those of you who may not know all of our staff or know limited amounts, hopefully this is beneficial for you just to get to know us a little better, get to know some of the others that you don't know as well a little bit better. And as we remember God's faithfulness from 2023 and press into 2024, this is our year recap.
Was this your idea or was it somebody else's?
I was trying to come up with something, and it was Rachel's idea to this one's. So.
Well, this probably won't hit the official podcast, but it was a really great idea. It forced me to kind of process through the last year and to celebrate the last year, which I tend to not do really well. So it was cool.
Nice.
So good idea. Hopefully it'll be good for our people too.
Agreed. All right, first question for you. What 3 words describe 2023 to you in your area of ministry and why? Rachel McDonald is the director of kids ministry.
Okay, so first, definitely growth. We have grown in numbers. Our programming has made some changes. We are increasing some things, changing our outlook on quite a few things. Yeah. Super excited about that. We've also brought Bethany on, which is a huge gift to the program. It's another set of eyes, another way to look at things. Yep. My second word is collaboration. We've done a lot of collaborating this year with Creative Arts, with our new midweek launch, with the students as we transitioned our 6th graders into that program as well. So working with lots of different ministries has been something that we've done a lot of this year. And third, for us, is humility. We've had the amazing opportunity to talk to lots of families and kids about salvation conversations, asking lots of questions, and it's always so overwhelming and humbling to me to know that I've been given that opportunity. And so that's something that we've done a lot of this year, and it's been truly a blessing. Yeah,
I find myself saying that a lot. I'm humbled just to be a part of the process.
Absolutely, and just a small part.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Mike Massaro is our student pastor.
I would say the 3 words that describe our ministry in 2023 and why are these. 1, it's hopeful. Hopeful this past year because we saw just some changes with our student ministry in regards to just some programming. And I was really encouraged this past year by the younger students that we have, and even our older students that we currently have. But I see hope in the coming generations. They're different, but they want to lead, they want to serve.
That's awesome.
The second word I would probably say is very energetic. We just came off our Christmas party last night, and this definitely describes our group. Thought about doing like a chilled Christmas party, but that just doesn't happen in this student ministry. So they are full of energy, which is a good thing. Yeah. Hopeful, energetic, and I would say the third one was probably it's changing. Yeah. Not change for the sake of change, but just purposeful change, and just the way you can't do student ministry like you've done student ministry in this generation like you've done it 10, 20 years ago. Right. And so I've just noticed that, doing student ministry 17 plus years, it's like, man, this generation's a different type of generation. They want a voice, they want to be heard. And so, I think through our programming and opportunities and even our events, like how do we, one, get them around each other, but also give them voices in that. So I have to think through some of those things.
It's awesome. Love it. Will Crum, the discipleship and family pastor.
Cameron, I would have to say my 3 words this year would have to be momentum would be the first one.
Yeah.
we just saw a lot of momentum on like Wednesday nights and with
sure.
Adult discipleship, adding that this year and just watching adults grab onto that. And then we saw a lot of movement within our children's ministry and student ministries.
Yeah.
So the family ministry component. And it was a lot of fun to see the environments and just how fun things were on Wednesday night. So there was a lot of momentum that happened on Wednesdays. I also saw, and tied to that would be growth. Wednesday nights, again, was a time of growth for us. We also saw other ministries grow within our church. I'm watching some really neat things. Jessica Helms is doing a great job with our women's ministry and watching that grow. Our marriages, we're having a lot of people in their marriages grow, and then also with parenting.
Yeah.
So there's growth everywhere within our discipleship ministries, and that's not even like watching the students. Have you been over on Wednesday nights in the student ministry?
I've seen it from a distance, but pretty awesome.
Oh my goodness, Mike it is just so much fun going over there.
Yeah.
And then you just again go downstairs and for the creative arts and the kids, and then over with the preschoolers.
Yeah.
Just growth. There's growth everywhere. And then Sunday mornings, we're starting to see our numbers slowly get back.
Yeah.
You know? So growth. That's the second. And the third one would be just connected. And I feel like all these kind of go together.
Right.
But I'm starting to see our ministries, especially the family and discipleship ministries, we're starting to see a lot of connections being made.
For sure.
I'm watching like the men's ministry starting to think, how can we get connected with some of the other ministries and things going on? We're seeing just an intentional plan within our children, youth, and adults to kind of move together. Right. So there's just connection as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Patty Clark, the Director of Communications and Creative Arts.
The first one I thought of was a whirlwind. I took on the communications role in conjunction with Creative Arts Ministry back in February. And it just seemed like from the get-go, it was like, oh my goodness, just a lot of things to tackle on the front end, and not in a bad way, just a lot to learn and a lot to accomplish in a short amount of time. Yeah. So definitely a whirlwind. Secondly, pertaining to creative arts, I would say rejuvenated. We've made a couple of changes this year that have been very beneficial for the program overall, and then for me as well, with the combining of Team Kid and Creative Arts for our midweek programming. It has taken, I don't want to say pressure, but just a little bit of responsibility and assign that or assimilate it in a different way. So it's been very helpful. Another thing that's just been so great with rejuvenating the program is integrating the kindergartners into the ministry. And I kind of wondered how that would be going into it. Like, oh, wow, I don't know. It's a whole different teaching style that I'm used to. But they're so stinking cute. I mean, it's just every Wednesday night, you've got 4 or 5 of them wrapped around your legs. And no matter what kind of day you've had, it just makes it all worthwhile. And they're just so excited to be there.
Yeah.
And awesome. So that's been just so much fun. And I'm looking forward to just watching them grow with the talents that the Lord's given them. So,
sure.
And then also with Creative Arts, I feel rejuvenated now having an assistant in place. She's just been a tremendous asset with helping me balance the 2 ministries. I'm very thankful for that. So whirlwind, rejuvenation, and then progress. Yeah. I'm one person who likes to feel a sense of accomplishment at the end of the year, and I feel like I can say that. Yeah. Just looking back, there are some check boxes and some goals that I had going into communications, and I feel good about it. I feel good that we've figured out a process or a system set for communicating with our people and with our community, and that's important.
Yeah. Darren Reynolds is the Connections Pastor.
You're not going to be surprised by this one bit.
Oh, no.
So my 3 words for 23 are grace, gratitude, and growth.
Perfect. I would expect nothing less.
So I'm sitting thinking, I was like, well, I just did it again. Here we go. So, but no, really thinking back, there's been a lot of grace this last year that has been extended towards me as we continue to try to build the Connections ministry, but also opportunities to give grace in a lot of areas too. gratitude just for the ability to serve in this community and serve our church, and then just growth. The Connections Ministry starting point has been phenomenal this year. It's been so much growth in the number of volunteers, but also just sitting back and watching on Sunday mornings the grace that's being shown in the parking lot at the doors. It's just so amazing and exciting to see kind of some growth that's going on outside of our building to try to make the Immanuel experience so much better. And then just gratitude for starting point. I mean, the three we did this year have been phenomenal. Great energy, a full room, and we've been seeing a lot of those families that have joined the church getting plugged in to serve. And so very, Connections Ministry guest services starting point has been phenomenal. Even in pastoral care, there's been a lot of grace in home visits because it's not where it needs to be, but they're very gracious when I get there. And it's been such a great year to serve. I would look back on the year and have been a part of 5 wedding ceremonies this year.
Yeah.
And then did 13 funerals in 23.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of growth in those areas too, because those aren't things that I had done a lot of before 21.
Right.
And so it's been neat. Personal growth. I'm in the midst of book 28 for year 23. So there's been a lot of personal growth as well of trying to be better as a man, a husband, a minister. And so, no, it's been a great year. And so those would be my 3 words: grace, gratitude, and growth, which I know you're not surprised at all.
I love it. Again, we would expect nothing less. Jeff Pratt, as you know, is the senior pastor of Immanuel Baptist Church.
So I'm going to say, because I got to make it 3 words. That's why, because it's really 2 words.
Also, you will not be surprised that Darren it was an alliteration. Of course
they were, man. Yeah. I can't do that. So I'm just going to say God's consistent faithfulness.
Okay.
Are 3 words. How about that?
There you go.
Just because I just think in 2023, we really jumped into some big things as a church, and it just seemed like every single time that we dealt with one of those, God just showed himself faithful.
Yeah.
And so that was, I think, when I think about, first it was kind of the land, and it was deciding to move into this building project, and then it was our fundraising campaign. So it's like every single time,
right,
man, God was just faithful. And, we would just sit back and be amazed at the number of people that were on board with what was happening in our church.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. John Helms is the executive pastor here at Immanuel Baptist Church.
Yeah, words that describe ministry in 2023. The first word that comes to mind is movement. So whenever friends that I have who aren't here in Lebanon or Immanuel ask me how things are going at Immanuel, this is oftentimes the first word that I tell them. I truly believe that God is beginning a movement of his spirit here among us that's not only staying among us, but that's going throughout our community into the ends of the earth. I feel like saw signs of that in the Acts sermon series. That was probably over a year ago, but that really led into kind of Ezra and Nehemiah, what we saw him do during the campaign, and then has continued throughout the year. I've seen that a lot through just the sending of our short-term teams, really, as well. So just feel like the Spirit of God is moving. I feel like the second word would be prayer. I think this year I've come to recognize in a new, fresh way that prayer is one of, if not the kind of primary ways that we steward the movement of God. I've seen that in my own life. I've seen that in a lot of our ministries and ministry team meetings, from personnel meetings and finance team meetings to our capital campaign prayer meeting to just our monthly all staff meetings. If God really is the one that draws people to himself, if he really is the one that's ultimately responsible for making and multiplying disciples to the ends of the earth, then we're crazy to think that we don't need to pray and really desperately seek him.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that desperation, that fresh dependence on God in my own life and our staff team and in our church over the year in just a really encouraging way. And so movement, prayer, the third word would be multiplication. So as the Spirit of God moves, as we steward that movement through prayer, it's not a surprise that multiplication comes after then. I see that in myself. I see that in my Sunday school class with just a desire for our people to multiply themselves and their families and their everyday lives. We see that through what we're doing with the capital campaign, with multiplying our facilities so that we can better multiply disciples of all generations, of all nations. And so I see multiplication a lot happening. And then I'm going to cheat and add a fourth word, which is culture. So I think being here now for 2.5 years, just continuing just to get to know the culture of Immanuel, of Wilson County. And it's not a surprise as we see the Spirit of God moving, as we see a focus on prayer and multiplying disciples, that through all of that, the Spirit is building on this culture that has been developing here at Immanuel for generations, a culture that I really believe is built upon His Word and prayer and making disciples, mobilizing them, sending them out on generosity. And we've seen a lot of fruit of that culture that He's been building for generations and that He continues to develop now.
Yeah, sure. That's awesome, man. Bill Ross is our counseling director at Anchor Counseling.
I like this question.
Yeah?
Of course, I overanalyzed it.
Of
but
course.
Real quick, not to take up too much time. Blessed, discernment, and discipleship.
Okay.
And you want to know why?
Of course.
Okay. Well, blessed, we've just had a lot of things happen this year and blessings that have come out of nowhere, very unexpected places. And I think I loved you asking this question because it made me look back over what all has happened and what all resources have been directed in our way, and to see lives changed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Discernment, the Bible talks about discernment being a gift. And honestly, I did not understand the real definition of discernment until this past year.
Yeah.
As old as I am, you would think that I would know. I always thought it had to do with knowing right from wrong.
Yeah.
But that's, we don't need that gift because we pretty much know right from wrong.
Right.
Discernment is knowing right from almost right. And I think we all struggle with that. And that's why we need to pray for discernment.
Yeah.
To know what is right and what is almost right, because they can really look the same sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's definitely, discrimination in that.
That's good.
And the discipleship. I feel like we've definitely been able to provide discipleship for people who've come in through groups, individuals. But the discipleship I'm talking about is what we have received from the people who've come in. They've discipled us, actually. And how could you ask for more?
Yeah, that's great. Mark Caruth, minister of music and Golden Gems.
Probably the first word that I would think of for that would be exciting.
Yeah.
We've had an exciting year. We're fixing to go into a new era in our church, especially with the building program and things of that nature. I'm very excited about that. There's a lot of things that we can look forward to, and we've been building that through 2023. It's been great.
Absolutely.
Another word would be encouraging. I've been really encouraged this year. Our unity, our cooperation with each other. It's been great to work with the staff. The choir has been really solid this year.
Yeah.
And, when we went through the COVID era, things just kind of came apart at seams there for a while, and it's starting to really solidify. That's encouraging to me on that. Golden Gems has had a phenomenal year.
Yeah.
We've had a waiting list every single month.
Wow.
And just people are so excited to be there. Some of these people, Cameron, that's the highlight of their month.
Yeah.
They just don't hardly get out, but boy, they're going to get out for that.
Right.
And when we open for reservations, man, they just it's kind of funny. The phones just light up. Mitzi is just going nonstop, getting people signed up, and we've had a really, really encouraging time with the Golden Gems, and that continues
awesome.
to be encouraged. I guess the one of the other words is progressing. We're making forward motion. And I know the building program has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
But it's just a combination of the things. We're moving forward. We're rolling forward, and I can feel that forward motion. I really like that feeling in the ministry.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good. Hi, I'm Cameron George, creative arts minister here at Immanuel. I think for me, the three words that come to mind first is going to be patience. And that's on a number of levels. I tend to be a perfectionist, and so I want things to move faster than they do sometimes. And so from a church standpoint, there's a lot of times that I want the ball to move forward further than it has. And so I am just continuing every year to learn patience a little more. And then the other reason patience is because I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and they can tend to be challenging at times. So, and I do struggle with it at times. There's times that I lose my patience, unfortunately. But just continuing to learn patience over this year has been a big one for me. Second word is positivity. I came across a quote at the end of the year that I've used multiple times in the podcast. And I don't have it written down right now, but the gist of it is that complaining doesn't solve problems. It only attracts them. And so don't be the problem, be the cure. And so, trying to keep a positive attitude this year has been a big one for me. And one of the ways that we've done that, when me and Darren were joking at Passion at the beginning of the year 2023, Michael Jordan was number 23, and he was the GOAT, the greatest of all time, in basketball. If there's anyone who likes LeBron more than him, you should check your heart. But with Michael Jordan being the GOAT, we've kind of made GOAT, greatest of all time, kind of our theme for the year. So we've said that 2023 is the greatest of all time. It's going to be a great year. We've kind of tried to keep that positivity through the year. And I actually got a stuffed goat and did a little iron-on patch 23 on the side of it. We've named him Toby, and he's kind of been an encouraging goat that we've passed around through the office just to say encouraging words to each other as we've gone through this year and keep our spirits high. And then the third word for me is growth. Growth for me personally, I feel like even through this podcast and kind of digging deeper into the messages and forcing myself to think differently, I've experienced a lot of growth personally. Also, hand in hand with that, we've started a life group this year that I've been leading, which is kind of like a Sunday school class, but we really dig deeper into the message and kind of discuss how to apply that, which has caused me to grow as well. And then our worship team, just as this year's gone, our team as a whole has grown, not just in numbers though, but in leadership. And really, I'll get to this for next year, but that's one of the big things that I'm looking forward to next year is just to continue to see them to grow. So yeah, those are my 3 words. All right, second question is, what was the most fun or the best memory that you had of 2023?
Let me think about it. Let's see. In March, I became a grandmother.
Hey.
So I know, right? You're thinking you don't look a day over 20, right? It was one of those things. It came a little earlier for Joey and I than we anticipated. But, a wise friend who has walked the path that we're on told us when we initially found out we were going to be grandparents, some of God's greatest gifts come when we don't ask for them.
Yeah.
And we certainly didn't ask for this. We certainly wouldn't have known to ask for this, but man, what a blessing Leo has been to our lives and how much joy he's brought into our home.
Sure.
So, yeah totally awesome. That. And if you're wondering, my grandma name is Coco.
Coco.
Yeah.
And she wanted Joey to be Puffs, but
he said no.
Yeah.
So the most fun was totally the slime fight at VBS.
Nice.
Because I came totally not prepared or dressed to be slimed, but I think left the nastiest, and then rinsing off in the downspout just was icing on the cake for me.
And you thought you could slide in and it'd be a slime fight for everyone else, and you were going to get out of it.
I really did, dude, because I inhaled the shaving cream on the stage.
Just tell you thought wrong. You should have known better.
For sure. Now I know. Come dressed in a hazmat suit, and I'll be safe.
Exactly. Just the whole week. The whole week of VBS. Nice. All right. Was that all with that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. That was enough.
I'll try to be fun, John, here. So personally, I'd have to say having our daughter Kate was awesome. So we had our 4th kid this year, which was a lot of fun. 4th and final in our plans, unless the Lord provides a miracle. Yeah. So having Kate was awesome. As I think through just fun moments of the year, there's a lot that come to mind, but a lot of them that come to mind are with our Middle East mission trip. So there's a lot of funny moments that pop in my head, just riding around in the car around town, hanging out with our partners. Yeah. Just living life and sleeping in the same place as people for 10 days. You just experience a lot of fun things. So I'll keep some of those stories private to the team. But yeah, I had a lot of fun on that trip for sure.
The most fun that I had in 2023, man, if you know me personally, you know that I like to have fun. So there's a lot that I could pull from. One that I think we all at least had the opportunity to experience was the Christmas in July night of worship that we did this year. Man, I had a great time planning it. It was really the first big event that I've done that's church-wide and not just a worship service type thing. So I definitely dropped the ball on a couple things. I learned a couple things, but overall, I think everybody that attended had a great time. I know I had a great time, and it was just a lot of fun to do that.
On a personal level, it's just been fun watching my kids grow.
Yeah, for sure.
And then just last week, my wife graduated with her Master's of Christian Studies from Southeastern Seminary. We were supposed to graduate together.
Yeah.
I'm a bum. I'll graduate hopefully in May. But I tell you what, this is like standout just ministry-wise, but also just a part of who I am. I love teaching. Preaching's okay. There's a difference between preaching and teaching. I love teaching. And teaching on Wednesday nights, especially the last half of the fall semester, teaching systematic theology.
Yeah.
It stretched me personally, but watching our church grow, like there's a hunger for theology here. Yeah. There's a hunger at Immanuel in general for the Word of God. Right. But to watch the hunger for learning about the things of God has been probably one of the most exciting things I've ever experienced in ministry.
Yeah.
This is probably going to surprise you, but I'm going to say the funniest memory, because there's a lot of little ones that happen, but I think our staff outing to the go-kart place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, was for me, because what was hilarious, because I have these moments where I'm doing something and it humors me. Like I'm laughing while I'm doing it. Probably nobody else thinks it's funny, but I'm just going, dude, this is hilarious, you know. But you know, I'm taking about the fourth lap on the go-kart, and I think the reality too of like I can't do this anymore, you know, deal, and me starting to get sick but refusing to stop, you know, because I keep looking at the board and like I'm ahead, then you're ahead, then I'm ahead, then you're ahead. I'm like, I'm not losing, even if I puke everywhere.
I will not quit.
Yeah. So, but seeing everybody else participate and be involved and just have a great time, you know.
Yeah.
That, you know, probably it's the staff stuff like that we do, because we just weren't there 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
You know, and so it's just really neat to see that now.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
I would say the best memory of 2023. There's been a lot of good things. One of the most fun things, this was a little risk I took this year for our back to school bash, was doing a color wars, and I had no idea how many students were going to show up. I planned for a certain amount of students, but like you're coming off the summertime, and I intentionally planned a lot of very relational activities through the summertime. So we get to our color wars, and we have 100+ students show up to this thing, and it was just like, what is going on right now? So it was fun, you know, to see that. So that was a great memory, and I think our students super enjoyed that. But I'd say another memory is just building some memories with some of our seniors this year. Our seniors have been through a lot of transitions and changes. And even this year, some of the fun memories I've created with them, you know, on trips and getting, you know, to do different little special things, you know, at fall retreat, you know, got to hang out with them, have a hang time with them. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
This was a hard one, because I was thinking, is it going to be ministry wise? Is it going to be personal? But I think my fondest memory of 23 is when Jackson and I got to go down to Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah.
And just him and I for 3 days have never done that before, and I'm like, man, I should have done this a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So, but it was great. That was probably my most fond memory. We got there on Thursday, and a young man that came and played at Cumberland, accepted Christ, was baptized here at Immanuel, is on the coaching staff there. And I'll never forget, as he was leaving, he said, you know, Darren, one day I'm going to be in the majors. And I was like, you know, there's a small percentage that do it. Well, and then here we are. So that weekend trip, that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the next day, Brady was able to hook up for Jackson to go hang out with the vice president of media marketing, and to watch Jackson and his excitement for an hour and a half, 2 hours of asking questions and getting advice from a gentleman who walked the path with less technology than Jackson has at his fingertips.
Right.
Now. It was amazing just to sit there and watch, and getting to see what God's doing in a Timothy in my life, someone that I've been able to pour into and watch grow, and then to watch my son thinking, oh man, this is going to be him before long.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the thing that sticks out the most for 23 to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And the most fun, I've got a choir that, what can I say? They're a hoot. We've got guys and girls too. When we have a choir get together, you just can't imagine. We're going to laugh our heads off at each other. We got some guys and girls both with great wit.
Yeah.
And great comebacks to things. We start talking about things, and they'll quip, and everybody gets it. And then everybody feeds off of each other.
Right.
And it just turns into a bundle of fun. I love getting together with a choir. I really do. My best memory is bittersweet.
Yeah.
In May of this year, a lady by the name of Merrill Hall passed away. Merrill was 97 years old. When I came to this church 15 years ago, the very first person I met in the choir was Merrill Hall.
Wow.
And how I met her was I came into the office, and there's this lady in the choir room, and she's cleaning up the choir room, and she said, well, hi, Brother Mark. And I said, hi, and I couldn't even call her name.
Wow.
And she introduced herself, and she said, I've been doing this a long time. My little contribution to the choirs, I come in every week, and I put all the music that we sung the Sunday prior, I take it, put it in order, and I file it back, and then I get out all the other music and lay it out for the coming Sunday so you can have choir practice.
Wow.
And she was a servant of servants.
Yeah.
She just had a beautiful, she was funny, she was great, she had a great wit about her. Anyway, what's so cool about this is she passed away in May.
Yeah.
I visited with her about a week before she passed, and she made everybody leave the room except for me and her.
Yeah.
Whew. And she told me how much the music ministry of Immanuel Baptist Church had made her life.
Wow.
And I just lost it.
Yeah.
I lost it. That's a favorite. That's the favorite memory of this entire year.
That's awesome.
So what a wonderful testimony of a lady.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Gosh, now I got to
Yeah.
walk away.
You want a
from
second?
tears here. Yeah.
All right. Next question. What was your favorite thing that you saw happen in your area of ministry this year?
I would say this. I am a huge fan of camp.
Yeah.
And so probably my favorite thing is camp time.
Yeah.
Really cool just to see our older students and younger students come together. We had this moment to where our senior and high school guys brought in our middle school guys into this blind tag. I mean, even our chaperones were getting into it that were at summer camp.
Yeah. And
just seeing this unity that happens. And then even in the girls, they were taking some of the younger students and at their work sites and mission sites working together. So I love camp for that. And that's one of my favorite things, is just seeing the unity that comes, but also seeing students serve alongside other students.
Yeah.
In the relationships that are formed there, they came back just pumped up. You know, so
that's awesome.
So mine is an ongoing thing. So in kids ministry, you can see in a kid's eyes when they finally get something, when you see them understand.
Yeah.
And you can see it all over.
Yeah.
That's one of my most favorite things about kids ministry. The second most favorite thing is to walk across the parking lot and hear some little voice holler, Ray, 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 and then run all the way across the parking lot and give me a big hug.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Man, that's hard to get to, just to like kind of nail one thing down. But I would say, man, again, just coming through the turn that we had, it just seemed like for so long in our church, we were hanging on to this land thinking that at one day, one time, that something was going to happen. And I think just the realization of, man, God wants us here, and watching that tide turn and then just gain so much momentum moving forward. Because, for years, for several years, we've been building and stabilizing, building and stabilizing, building and stabilizing. And now it's like forward movement.
Right.
So I think that for me probably was the was the exciting thing
Yeah.
that happened just overall in 2023.
Yeah. That's awesome. The favorite thing for me ministry wise would really just have to be simply ministry. For me, I being in the creative department, I can tend to wear a lot of different hats. And so I have my hand in a lot of different things, which is good and bad. But one of the things that I've struggled with the last few years is I feel like I'm so busy doing things that I felt like I haven't spent enough time that I should be doing ministry. This year, I feel like a lot of that has changed. And part of it has been personal decisions, and I've pushed back other things to make this a priority. But the biggest thing for me has just been ministry. I know this podcast has been a big part of that. We went on a mission trip in May to New York, and I had the opportunity to lead that. And then again, I mentioned it earlier, but the life group that we started, being able to have, not just for me personally, I have grown so much through these discussions, but also just having a group of people that gets together weekly, seeing us all kind of grow together in our faith. We've even started memorizing scripture some, and it's been great to be able to oversee that group, to facilitate the discussion and see them grow together.
You know, I guess, Cameron, probably the best things didn't have anything directly to do with music or with Golden Gems. It had to do with our outreach projects. Mm-hmm. The mission trip, to me, was a high point of the year. We had choir members and we had Golden Gems involved in our mission trips. Yeah. And I'm so thankful that our leadership placed that kind of emphasis on missions this year and got to be a part of that and watch people get involved personally, not just write a check and give them some money, but put sweat into it.
Right.
And that was so cool. Also, things like our participation in Sherry's Run. Mm-hmm. Man, what a great thing that is, and to be able to participate in that. We have a number of people in this church who have dealt with cancer themselves, that are either survivors or dealing right now with it. Yep. Also, right now that's going on is Compassionate Hands. Mm-hmm. Compassionate Hands is a ministry that was started by a friend of mine, John Grant, a few years ago. And it's basically help for the homeless during the cold months. Yeah. And we've become very involved in that. And I'm just very thankful for ministries like that we've been involved in. And so that's been really cool, the outreach that we've had this year.
That's awesome.
And again, with two ministries, I'm going to say with communications, it would have to be the 4G2C program. Again, that came very on within me taking the role. So it was a little stressful to start with, but man, it was so rewarding and so exciting to be a part of this. Yep. As most of you know, I've been a member of Immanuel, a part of Immanuel my entire life. So just being a part of the logo development, design, the concepts, and the communication strategy for that has just been so rewarding and so fulfilling for me personally. For creative arts, man, I would say VBS is one of my favorite things of the year. It always is, but this one in particular just had such high energy and excitement. The theme was so much fun. The kids came in every day so pumped, and you could just feel it within our staff. I mean, man, our staff went wow, right? Yeah. I love it because I can ask y'all. Actually, I don't ask y'all. I just tell you, show up in this costume and you do it. But it was just great to see everybody participating. And when we do that, our kids love it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have an awesome group of facilitators. We have 3 different groups right now: Grief Share, Divorce Care, and Integrity Road's a men's group. Okay. And we have about 17 facilitators that donate up to 3 weeks full time. If you added their time up, it would be a 3-week hour time of them coming in and volunteering. Wow. And they do everything. It's amazing. And so seeing our facilitators come in and be such vital partners in our ministry, we absolutely could not do it without them. But they're an awesome group. They're fun to be around. They keep us energized and going and lift us up. So I would have to say the time, the energy, and the support that our facilitators give us is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Watching our deacons, our volunteers, and our members serve throughout the year in various ways. You know, watching our deacons come in with our new members team. Hey, we're going to give you a family that's joined. Want you to walk with them for a calendar year. Them jumping in and helping the baptisms. So you go up on a Sunday morning and work with a family, work with a young person, and there's a deacon right there beside you who is with us in prayer. That's rolling up the towels. So it was great to watch that. As I mentioned earlier, our volunteers at the front doors, in the parking lot. It's just been a great year of watching people connect and really begin to serve and volunteer and love doing it. I mean, it's huge to see a phenomenal smile on a face. And so that's probably one of my favorite ministry parts of the year is just watching our lay people serve and to use the gifts that God's given them.
Great.
Yeah. So favorite thing that happened in ministry over the last year is really just kind of seeing the culture of Immanuel continue to build. I feel like I saw that through a few different things, particularly over 2023. I think Commitment Sunday was a big day for us as a church. Just in and of itself, it was a big day seeing people of all generations, all age ranges, all backgrounds walking down that aisle, putting their commitment card in the basket was just a powerful moment that caused me just to get a little emotional. It gets me a little emotional thinking about it now, but it wasn't just the moment that was powerful. It was thinking through what led to that moment. So the work that the Lord's been doing in our church, particularly through sermon series that we've been preaching, meetings that we've had with deacons and leaders and capital campaign leadership team, and the prayer and the process and the conversations that went into each family kind of making those commitments was such a big moment for us. I think back to our mission trip recap videos that we've been showing over the last couple months and hearing the stories from our teams getting back and thinking all that led to get to that moment. So the interest meetings that we've had, the equipping events that we've had, the leader trainings, the team member meetings, the support raising letters that people have sent out. So people taking this step of faith, God providing for them in incredible ways, and then them getting back and sharing that story with other people and inviting them into that has just been so powerful. I think, too, back just to our monthly all-staff meetings that we have every month. Those have become a favorite part of my month when we just get together to eat, to pray, to talk about what's coming up over the next month, to be equipped in certain ways for the tasks that the Lord has given us is always special. And then I think, Drew, just the week-to-week of my Sunday school class that meets every Sunday, the relationships that are developing there, the disciple making that's happening through the week as we just talk about the sermon from the week before, and then as we just catch up on each other and try to help each other apply what it is that we've been learning throughout the week. So I love seeing the culture that God's developing here and the ways that he does so both just through those week-to-week conversations within Sunday school classes to the bigger things like equipping events and sending somebody on a short-term team. I love seeing how the Lord's making disciples and building that culture among us.
Yeah, that's great. Not just, God's obviously been faithful in everything, but for you, maybe in your area of ministry, in your life, whatever it may be, just share a story of how you've seen God be faithful this year.
Wow. I had something I wanted to say, and I think that's still true. I'm just thinking God is faithful because that's just who he is. Yeah. And so, like, we've experienced that even within our own family. But there's something that just keeps sticking out to me, and I'm like, I'm sure everybody's sharing the same story. But watching us as a church bond together, for this building campaign, I don't know if I've ever heard of a church that didn't go through way more trials than we went through. And I just think that's a testimony, number one, to Pastor Jeff's leadership and him pressing into the Holy Spirit. For sure. But a lot of that is our church. Mm-hmm. And watching our church unite is unbelievable. Yeah. And to me, I think that has just been a sign of God's faithfulness. God is faithful to the very end. Yep. And he's walking us through this. And again, I think that goes back to Jeff's leadership and our long-range planning team and John Helms and the staff and the deacons and of just keeping us moving together. Yeah, for sure. In a healthy way. And it's the Holy Spirit. Yep. So yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Man, I'm going to point to our fundraising campaign because that's something that a couple things. Number one, I've really never done one to that scale before. So I think that was huge. I think our church really hasn't done one to that scale before. Right. I'm not really comfortable with things like that. Yeah. So it's really hard for me it was hard for me to kind of get comfortable in that and kind of do what needed to be done. Right. But just watching our people respond to that. Yeah. It was just unbelievable to come to that day, and you're anticipating, you're kind of wondering, you're kind of thinking, hey, we've got a goal of 4 million. Can we get there? I think we can get there. You just don't know, wrestling through that personally. Okay, what can we do? All of that. And then just watching it happen. Yeah. And so it's pretty amazing. And then even now watching all of those, the funds continue to come in as people anticipate something beginning to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, personally, I would say with my dad, again, we've been on a long journey with his cancer battle, and we were really, really scared back early in the year with a resurgence of the cancer in his liver, and the prognosis was quite glim. Yeah. And so, for that to be removed, obviously it was a very tricky surgery to go in and remove a portion of the liver, but, Dad's active and thriving and doing his thing. So we're very grateful. And the Lord's been very faithful just to give him some sweet time with us. So we're excited about that.
In our Golden Gems ministry, this year we had some opportunities that I wanted to take advantage of. But I was very short on my resources going into the fall. And I was thinking about how we might be able to pull it off. A man walks up to me one day. He said, I just been thinking about things, and I want to help. The Lord's blessed me here, and I want to help with something. Is there something? Yeah. So I said, well, here's what I've been thinking about, and we don't have the resources for that. Taken care of. Yeah. And I just, it was pretty significant too. And for God just to answer that through one man. Yeah. God is faithful, and he blessed it and just took care of it. He provides. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm so very thankful about that.
One of the ways I would say I saw God's faithfulness was at summer camp. There are students that you pray for their relationship with Jesus. Yep. Coming out of summer camp, we got to see multiple students get baptized, because they started a relationship with Jesus. And then there were students who started owning their faith and started becoming more bold in that. So that's one of the things where I saw God's faithfulness. Another one is just, my heart for missions and seeing that happen and being able to take a group of students, on a mission trip and having parents believe in you enough to say, hey, I'm going to let you take my student across an ocean, to go to the UK, and getting to see students serve out there and seeing God use them faithfully in that. And even though leading up to the trip, we had one plan in place, we're supposed to go to York, England. Right. And, as we started praying and thinking, God still showed up and said, hey, even though you're not going to York because plans fell through, we're going to put you in Middlesbrough. And just his ultimate faithfulness, we were supposed to be there. Right. It connected well with our team and our students. I mean, our students loved serving. They grew to love the people there. And so you're like, okay, God, you ultimately know what you're doing, and you have designed this for us to be here and to continue this partnership. So for sure. I was really excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think about it so much with people who have gone on our short-term trips. Every time I see one of those videos, I think about just all the conversations that went into that person going. I think a good one would probably be Trenton Zorn. So Trenton actually went with us on the Middle East team when we had our very first interest meeting. He was the first person to sign up to say that he was interested in going, and he just kind of stayed faithful through that. He had to figure out a lot of things with family. He's got 5 kids. With work, he had to change his schedule around with a lot of people and ended up having to work a lot of Sundays even after we got back because he went. But he committed to go, and it was amazing to see him while he was on our trip, just the way that God had wired him to be this person of stability that doesn't get rattled very much. Even his job and his background with being a firefighter and being trained to do a lot of medical type things, and how that helped us on our trip, to just being a guy with kids. It was amazing to see how the Lord had wired him so specifically to go on this trip and to serve our team while we were there. Not only our team of people from Immanuel, but the team of church planners that were there. And to see him getting back and how he's processing through things differently as a result of his trip. And I think him and his son might be planning on going on a trip next year, maybe with our students. And so it was just one of many stories of God providing the right person to go to the right place, and then to see the work that the Lord did in him and continues to do in him and through his family as a result of it.
The thing that is the most important is, particularly this year, reunification of families and individuals.
Yeah.
Worked a lot with the court system, and judges have said, I want you to reunify this family. And that's been amazing to do that, to bring families back together. And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do that. Sometimes parents don't want to cooperate
Right.
with that. So
Yeah.
I think the reunification of families and relationships
Yeah.
is what we're all about. Really.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome.
So for us in kids ministry, it requires a lot of help.
Yeah.
Next to the kids, the biggest part of the puzzle for kids ministry is our volunteer and our leadership staff. And we cannot do it without them.
Yeah.
And as we have grown and added new programs, so has our need in that area.
Yeah.
And God is always faithful to send the right person. Now, it may not be on my timeline. It may be at the last minute.
Yeah.
But he has always sent exactly who needs to be in each spot to be the best voice for him and for these children.
That's awesome.
I think it's, for me, it's back in June at Century Kid Camp with Miss Rachel in the children's department, as we're at Campbellsville University, and on night 2, you just begin to see the Spirit work in some hearts. And then a young man comes and says, hey, Brother Darren, can we go talk? Which you know what he's saying when he says it.
Yeah.
And you get to go out front of the worship center, and he's like, I think I need to be saved. And you're able to sit there and watch God faithfully call another one to himself. And that to me, you never get over that. Like, that never gets old, watching God call someone to faith. And then not only watching his faithfulness in calling, but also just his faithfulness to allow you to be a part. And I think that to me, that's the thing that stands out the most for this year, is it never gets old watching God call children home.
Yeah.
And them to come to understand who they are and who Jesus is, and then give their life to him.
Absolutely. Man, seeing God's faithfulness this year, I could recount story upon story. For me, I think just a big one is just the love and support that we continually get from our church family, from the people in Immanuel. There's been multiple times, just the season of life that we're in right now with 2 young kids. Even though we're both full-time employed, it still has its challenges. But just seeing God be faithful in that, even when it feels like there's nothing there, like there's been multiple times this year, it's like, I don't know where this money's coming from. And then someone anonymously from the church would give money that sometimes happened to be the exact amount, sometimes what we needed for that time. And so just seeing God's faithfulness through the faithfulness of our church has been so encouraging. But the other big one, I think, for me is my dad, when we moved here, it was actually the exact time that we were transitioning from North Carolina, where my family is, to Tennessee. We found out that my dad had cancer, which was a very scary time, very difficult time, being 6.5, 7 hours away and not being able to be with them during that. But just last week, actually, was the 5-year marker that he's cancer-free and is still cancer-free. When they found out the cancer was gone, they said kind of that 5-year mark is the goal. That's when, once you're at that mark, that's a great sign. And so being at the 5-year mark now is just another great sign of God's faithfulness. All right, and then last question, kind of looking into 2024, into next year, the unknown. What is one thing that excites you most going into it?
Well, just again, kind of going back over the questions you just asked me to see how much more it's going to grow and develop, and looking forward to that. We love our job. We love what we do. And the unknown is not a scary thing. It's an exciting thing, because we know it's going to be good. God's taking care of us. He's guided, directed us, put the right people in our path. And we're just excited about what we're going to do. We've already looked at, we're expanding some group things.
Yeah.
So I would say that would be my main answer.
Yeah,
On that.
that's awesome.
You know, what was several months ago, I referenced Stephen Curtis Chapman's song "The Great Adventure," and I think that's really it. I think you look into 2024 and you just kind of go, okay, you're at the beginning of this beautiful horizon, and you know the Lord's just saying, just take off, and like I got this, and it's going to be amazing, but just continue moving forward. And so I think seeing some construction begin to happen, I think is what a lot of people want to start seeing. Seeing some progress in that is going to be really, really exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think just kind of seeing the continued growth in our ministries, because I think we're getting some good traction in our age-graded ministries and our family ministry. We're getting great traction in our worship services. So I just, I think it's like we've turned the corner from stabilizing to, okay, now let's start moving forward.
Yep.
And so it's just going to be really exciting to see what that looks like in 2024.
Yeah.
And our team's been together for, the whole team's been together for a year now. And so just kind of continue to mature that and see what's ahead for us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One, we're going to get to see a student building.
Yeah.
So I know they had the refuge house, you know, back in the day. And so being able to come here and, we have a space for our students to call their own.
Yep.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I would also say I'm looking forward to seeing some of these new classes come in. I was at the choir performance that we had this past Sunday. I was looking on stage, sort of that sad moment of like, man, we're losing like 7 seniors.
Yeah.
But then seeing some of the younger ones, and I'm going, wow, like we've got a whole nother 8, 9, 10, 6th graders that will be coming in student ministry. I love those type of transitions, but we're developing a really young student ministry right now. Yeah. And so I'm pretty excited to see how God is going to use these younger students in that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think 2023, it's a real banner year for us that we're going to look back on. And so I think 2024, we're going to continue to see this movement of God that he's been developing in us, that he's been sparking in us in a new, fresh way over the last year. And I think from that movement, we're going to continue to see multiplication happening over the next year. So as people kind of multiply within their families, as they multiply throughout our communities, just see themselves as everyday ambassadors in their everyday places of work and neighborhood and sports teams. And as more people potentially consider going on short-term trips. I think something that I'd love to see more developed in 2024 is just our local engagement. I think we're doing well with equipping our people as ambassadors in their everyday lives, but I think giving some people some tangible ways to serve locally, whether that be through our school partnerships or other organizations that we've been talking to. And so I'm hopeful that our local missions efforts will increase, both as our people go out as everyday ambassadors, and particularly as we focus on maybe some organizations that serve alongside the lost and hurting in our community more.
Yeah.
I think it's, for me, is attacking personal goals that God's placed on my heart over the last 5 years. Like I've been working through what's my one word for 24, and I really think it's going to be tenacious, or tenacity, like just going after things this year that have been in my heart for a while, but I've been listening to that little voice saying, nah, you don't have time for that, or who really cares what you have to say, or, it's not going to come off the way you think it is. No, this is the year to make it happen. And so that's what I'm excited about. And in the midst of reaching those goals, it's going to filter in and strengthen area ministries of connections and young adult ministry.
Sure.
And so excited to have some 100% focus on young adults, no longer kind of carrying different banners, but actually be able to walk on a campus and say, hey, I'm here with Immanuel, with our young adult ministry, and let's get this thing going. And so very tenacious this year in my attack of the year for personal goals, but also for ministry as well. So looking forward to what God has in store for 24.
Yeah.
I did it again, didn't even know it.
I love it.
With communications, I'm excited just to continue to be a better resource for our staff and for our people in our community in information assimilation. It's taken me almost a year to just kind of get the rhythms, and not to say that I have it down fully, but definitely to understand and get a grasp on the rhythms of how we communicate. There's a lot of information that goes in and out of this church. So we want to make sure that what we communicate is clear and it's effective. And so just to move forward with a better understanding of how to better equip our people is exciting. And as far as creative arts, I've got 9 seniors that will be moving out of creative arts students ministry this year. And it's always bittersweet to see those seniors go. I typically will mourn for quite a time. It hurts, but it's also a beautiful thing because most of them I have had in kids choir on up. Mm-hmm. And so I've watched them grow with confidence in their talents and in their service to the Lord. And so just to be a part of watching them where they go from here and to share in that final rite of passage of high school is always a sweet, sweet thing. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, just walking through the spring with those seniors and loving on them and watching them serve the underclassmen.
Yeah,
so I'm excited about that.
Well, I guess this is just the immediate thing. On a personal level, I'm hoping to graduate in May.
Nice.
I got 3 months of work to do in a month and a half. Yeah. That's going to be fun. So on the personal level, I'm excited about graduating.
Yeah.
But for the church, I'm really excited to release our family ministry strategy in January.
Yeah.
And just to watch how our families kind of bond together and to I've already seen so much buy-in. We've kind of been dripping a lot of it for a while.
Yeah.
But to actually get it out there in the hands of our families so they can see it, feel it, turn pages, read through it.
Right.
I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
And there's a hunger, and this goes back to what I said earlier.
Yeah.
There's a hunger here to disciple kids. People here are hungry to disciple their own kids.
Yeah.
And so for us to get to partner with families is that's been the goal and the dream. So what's our job, what's our responsibility, and what's the families, and we get to do it together.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
In 2024, we're really going to try to focus on resources and doing a better job of equipping parents. So Bethany and I have started working on a resource area in the kids building where we will have like paper things that you can come in and grab and read and use, and then backpacks on certain topics, things that your kids are asking questions about, where you can come in and take those full of resources and information to help you as you disciple your kiddos.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, of course, I guess first of all is the building program.
Yeah.
I've been a part of a building program before in a former church, and it was a very exciting time. Mm-hmm. And I feel that same type of excitement building.
Yeah.
And once we start shoveling dirt, I think it's going to get even more exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm very thankful for Patty Clark coming on full-time with us. She's a very creative person, great in communication. We threw her into the fire, and it's a hard learning curve, but she's getting with it quickly. And I'm glad we have that new aspect that's helping bring everything together. Communication is always a struggle in any church, in any ministry. If you have somebody to kind of be putting it together, that will improve things a lot.
Absolutely. So this will be the last podcast going into New Year's Eve week and then into 2024. Is there anything you want to say to our listeners or any of our people going into this next year?
I think I would just say thank you so much for being faithful. Yeah. I think that's the key. We've got faithful people that because you always kind of say to yourselves, man, if we could ever get everybody there at one time, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
And it's just life, man. People, life happens and things happen, but our people are so faithful. And I think that's the key, because I think they love the Lord. They love their church. They love us as a staff, and they support us. And I think that's so important. We had a deacon ordination service last night, and just having those men there surrounding our new deacon, Kerry Rice. And I just think all of that is just so good that that's the environment you want to be in. Yeah. So man, thank you to our people, because it's going to be an amazing year, and I'm excited to see what God's going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you all for listening, and we will see you in 2024.
See you in 2024. That's right.
Very good.
Peace out.
You have anything else you want to say?
No. Really.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's been a great year. Looking forward to another great one in 2024.
I'm so excited. And guys, Cameron's amazing, by the way. what y'all don't see him do, he does so much for our church. And so podcasts like this take a lot of time and effort. And don't you dare kick this out of the podcast. No, you should. But Cameron's awesome, and we thank you, man, for all you do for us.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Don't delete it. All right.
Happy New Year.
You too. Happy New Year.